Hey, Chris Barnes here, and welcome to Amplified Wellness. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest all the way from Austin, Texas. She is the CEO of Paleo FX, the world's largest paleo and ancestral health gathering. Michelle Norris, thank you so much for being on Amplified Wellness.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I'm excited to be here.
That's awesome. Michelle, I was recently listening to a Fitfluential radio podcast, and you're a guest on there, and you were talking about this SAD diet, and it really resonated with me. It was a term that I hadn't really heard too often over here in Australia. Sounded pretty grim, not a great diet, but I'm sure a lot of us in this country and over there in the States are following this SAD type of diet. Can you get started and just tell us a bit more about what this SAD diet is?
Yes, so SAD diet, standard American diet. I think that could actually work, obviously, for Australia's standard.
Absolutely.
Y'all might be a little bit more healthy than we are, but the standard American diet is highly processed, lots of sugar, lots of additives, lots of grain, refined carbohydrates, and really just a very unhealthy diet. And it's not what we were evolved and meant to eat. So obviously, whole unprocessed foods are the types of foods that we really want to be eating for optimal health. And so, standard American diet, SAD.
We can claim that one, like you said, standard Australian diet. I think we're not far behind America with some of those health conditions, and I guess what you're doing, which is an amazing job with Paleo FX, is just educating people on that ancestral health and paleo and keto and functional medicine, which is amazing. Not a lot of Australians, when I chat to them, know about Paleo FX, and I guess part of this podcast is a great opportunity to open up their ears to the world of paleo and keto. It's a very thrown around term these days. A lot of people are using paleo keto, but I think there's still a lot of grey area in between their understanding. So both your husband Keith and you had some health concerns. I believe you were probably following a SAD diet, maybe at some degree. Is that correct?
Oh, I absolutely was. So before I became paleo, I'm a trained chef, and so my specialty as a chef is Italian. So I made my own pizza and pasta dough. So obviously lots of refined carbohydrates. We didn't eat a lot of junk food, so we weren't eating a whole lot of processed food. But when you're eating that much refined carbohydrates, and putting that much grain into your body, you can't help but have some inflammation and some issues going on. So whenever I actually decided to go paleo, I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS. I had been diagnosed with early onset rheumatoid arthritis, which, as it turns out, that was a misdiagnosis. I do not have rheumatoid arthritis because everything went away as soon as 3 weeks after I was paleo. So all of that was gone. Keith actually had an issue with high blood pressure, genetic high blood pressure, and actually it corrected itself after he went paleo, and he's never had high blood pressure since. So it's been a really great for us both health-wise. Keith is extremely healthy. He's always been really in tune with his diet, with his working out. Clearly, anybody that knows him knows how he is about all of that stuff. So for him to have a high blood pressure was really concerning to him because nothing changed it. He changed like salt, all the things that they tell you to do, the coffee, which everybody that knows Keith also knows that Keith is a huge coffee drinker. He actually has coffee with his coffee.
And nice. I like Keith.
Yeah, he has a lot of coffee with his coffee. And so he just really could not get that under control no matter what he seemed to do until he actually changed and went into a paleo diet because It was all the refined carbohydrates, the pizza, pasta dough, all of that stuff. Even though I'm making all of that by hand, and we ate almost all of our dinners at home, very rarely ate out, very rarely had any kind of junk food or any kind of fast food at all. We would have the occasional sub sandwiches or whatever. We were big Jersey Mike fans, huge Jersey Mike fans and fans. And so just changing and moving that out of his diet, because his diet's really super dialed in, always has been.
Yeah.
Just changing that really was able to affect and help him get his blood pressure under control.
That's incredible. And for yourself to see those changes within 3 weeks is astounding.
Yes, it was crazy. And then this is the other thing. So when you are on a standard American diet, even if it's a standard Australian diet, you are on that diet, particularly as women, you yo-yo a lot in your weight. So in my closet, I had anything from a size 6 to a size 12 because I would yo-yo and go back and forth. And what was interesting is over a 6-week period, my size was going back down, and I was getting into, actually, I got into a size 4 for a while. That's not actually, I don't think that's healthy for me. I don't look at a size 4, and I think that's not a good weight for me health-wise, but I wasn't really paying attention at that point. I was just eating a paleo diet, and really no added sugars, no refined carbohydrates, and I was just really dialed into a little bit of fruit, some nuts and seeds, vegetables, and meat. And so what was interesting, our son plays, or did play, he's grown now, he select baseball back during that time, and we were out of season when I started the paleo diet, and I had probably been paleo for about 6 weeks. We had not seen any of the team members or any of the parents or anything for about 12 weeks. And so when we came to the very first game of the season, when we came in, everybody was like, "Oh my God, you look amazing. You've lost so much weight. You look so healthy. You look so, so vibrant." And they were like, "What are you doing?" And that was it. I was only doing paleo. I wasn't trying to lose weight. It just happened naturally because I was eating foods that my body was meant to eat, and my body was capable of processing and actually taking the nutrients that it needed and getting rid of the stuff that it didn't. And it was and I became very fat adapted at that point.
No, that's amazing. Look, my wife and I, we work in the health and fitness industry. We own a gym, and we see the struggles that members have just trying to get their body composition in line just with training. So for all of the listeners that are trying to get some change with body composition, potentially a paleo style eating regimen may be the best place to start. And with the transition for Keith and yourself, so obviously your specialty in Italian cuisine, which is carbs, was there some hiccups along the way, some speed bumps to moving some of those high carb preferences out of your diet?
When I first went paleo, no, I didn't divert from it at all. What was interesting, because I felt so good. I was literally, before I went paleo, was literally in pain every single time I ate. And so, and then I also, the brain fog went away because, and then I started I also had a lower back pain that I actually really didn't recognize until it went away. So I had that, and then I had a lot of joint pain. My knees really swelled, and I had some real serious issues. So for me, gluten actually showed up in my joints and everything. So I felt so good. There was no way I was going to go. But what it was for me, the situation that happened for me was I was in a state of denial, and I was very angry that I had to cut these foods that I love from my diet in order to be healthy. I was really mad at the time. And so, and I had this whole thought process about at some point, I'm going to be able to figure out how to put these things back into my diet. That was where my brain was like, I'm going to be able to figure this out, and I'm going to, defy every place out there, and I'll be able to figure out how to put it back in my diet. Well, so I was not happy about it. I was pretty angry. I came into paleo kind of kicking and screaming. But the day that we went to that baseball game, and all the parents were talking about how good I looked and how I had lost so much weight, and I had not tried. I had gone through periods of time where I was trying desperately to lose weight and could not lose weight, and was, starving myself, doing all the shit you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I was doing all that. So that was like the light bulb moment for me. That was when I realized at that moment, this is information that could actually really help people and could actually make losing weight and actually getting healthy a lot simpler process and a lot easier. And then at that point, I really I just really don't have a taste for it very much anymore. So if I went Italian now, I love cauliflower crust pizza, love it.
Yeah.
I actually prefer like zoodles with any of my pasta. I prefer that actually to, I prefer the taste, and I actually prefer it to having actual real pasta. Now, I enjoy Capello's occasionally. Capello's makes a really good pasta, the substitute, a kind of a substitute that's made more out of the flour and all of that stuff.
Okay.
No gluten, obviously, but and so I enjoy that from time to time. But I still don't feel great on it like I do when I do zoodles, because you still are putting some refined flours in, even though they are grain free and all of that, and they're actually good for you. For me, they just don't work as well, because that's still a carb that doesn't work real well for me. So I don't recover as well. But every once in a while, I'll enjoy it, and I'll savor it, and I'll be okay, and I'm just move on. But
Zoodles, are they zucchini noodles?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I figured so. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. Yeah, well, I use them as a substitute in our spaghetti.
Yes.
There you go. For the Aussie listeners, zoodles are zucchini noodles. That's awesome.
Sorry, I didn't think about that. I just think that's like now, like zucchini noodles.
It's a great name. It might fly here.
When you make noodles out of yellow squash, is it squoodles? I don't know. I mean, like,
potentially.
So, yeah.
I guess for some of the listeners that have children, and I've got a 4-year-old boy and a 1 and a bit-year-old girl. Some of the challenges that we have, we know that we should be reducing the refined carbohydrates and things, but the convenience factor and the behavioural side of things comes into play. Do you have any tips for moving away from those kind of foods as a chef? So like crackers and things like that?
Oh yeah. So this is the thing. We actually used to own gyms. We actually sold our shares of the gyms, not just really recently. So we actually were dealing with clients on a daily basis and everything. And the thing is that for us, whenever we're coaching any clients that are going into the paleo diet, if you can do it, if you can do the, just knock it all out, eliminate it all, that's obviously the best. But for some people, that's really difficult. And so our first thing right off the bat is getting out all the processed sugar, because the sugar piece is the part that is the hardest to overcome. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can just do somebody in immediately. So, we hear everybody talk about carb flu, and it's a real thing. It sounds weird, but what happens is when you first start getting rid of these things from your body starts a detox process. And what happens is you can hit this point where you just feel absolutely miserable. You just feel like you have the flu, which is why we call it carb flu. Mm. And so to get over, you just have to push through that, because usually that carb flu lasts anywhere from 24 hours to usually no more than 72 hours, maybe 4 days at the most. I don't think I've ever seen anybody where it lasted more than 2-3 days tops. But there's extreme cases. But the thing is at that point, that means that your body is actually making the transition from being a glycogenic burning engine to that it's trying to move over to not burning sugar, but now starting to burn some fat. And so if you just keep pushing through that and just get through the the fact that it's kind of painful, you actually get to the other side and you just feel a lot better. So the first thing we tell people, if they honestly think they can't get rid of everything at one time, is to do the sugar first and then go to the grains. The next thing is getting rid of all the grains and the gluten. Super highly inflammatory. And so that's where we would say those are the first things to go. And obviously we want to just to make sure, like particularly when you have kids, it's really hard if your kids are already in a space where they are getting excess sugar or they're getting grains and all of that, and taking that away from them is kind of hard. So our recommendation for trying to get children on board is actually find a really good substitute, something that's really a good alternative, that's healthier. We just believe you focus on the good and not the perfect, because obviously we want to get to the perfect. We want to get to where we have all the crap out of our diets, but in all honesty, that's never going to happen. I don't have a perfect diet. I still have from time to time do things, decide that I'm going to have something that's got grains in it because I actually want that or enjoy that or what have you.
Yeah.
And so I mindfully make that decision, and I mindfully know how I'm going to end up paying for it and whether or not it's worth it to me. And then I make that decision. And so for children, it's really hard for them, because if they were in this thing of where they're eating some types of grains, or they're getting desserts, or they're getting excess sugars and that type of thing, it's better to transition them out with good alternatives. So if you have a child that's really hooked on Coca-Cola, for instance, or Dr. Pepper, or whatever the soda is, if they're hooked on that, switch them out to a Zevia, to a natural soda, because that's going to be a better transition for them. And they're not going to feel like they are being deprived so much, because it's a much better substitute. The process there's no artificial colors, flavors, any of that stuff that's in Zevia. I'm a big proponent of that, because it's just getting the small wins that make it a difference, where you can actually move on to the bigger picture and really get them on board with actually taking part in choosing and being mindful about their own diet, and that they feel better, and that they want to feel better, because the last thing kids want is to feel like crap, and because they want to go out and play, and they want to run, and they want to do all of that. And so those are the things that we would say is make the alternative, bring in the alternatives. That's what they're for. They're there to help you get in that transition time period. It helps you get them from here to here. And so those are the things that I would do. There's so many options now, which we love. You see it. You're going to see it when you come to Paleo FX this year, which I'm super excited.
Can't wait.
You're going to see so many really great alternatives on the floor. And this is the great thing. We vet every single exhibitor that's coming in. There's no banned ingredients that are on our floor. So when your kids are running around on the floor, they can actually take samples and you not have to be worried about what it is they're getting. And they're going to love all the stuff that's on the floor. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so good. And so then they're going to want that. And there it is. It's a healthier alternative. And so that's just my thought process, is just go for those healthier alternatives. It's a better choice than what maybe they're currently doing. And that's just an easier way to transition children into a better and healthier eating program.
That's absolutely fantastic advice. And touching on Paleo FX, so it is literally only a month and a bit away. My wife and I are attending. I can't wait. Bringing the family across to Austin, Texas for our very first time. Look, this event is so exciting. I look at the lineup, and it's the best of the best. The thought leaders in paleo, keto, ancestral health, functional medicine, like the likes of Dr. McCullough, Chris Kresser, Dave Asprey from Bulletproof, to name a few, Rob Wolf, Mark Sisson. Do you just get blown away at each event, like working with these guests? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I sometimes have to pinch myself that this is what I get to do for a living, and that I get to bring together like you said, the best of the best in the world in what they do, and the fact that they are changing millions, not just thousands, but millions of people's lives every single year, and that we get to be a small part of what they do, and being able to bring them in is a real honor. And we feel very blessed that we've been able to be able to continue to keep doing this, and this will be our 8th year, and we're super excited about it. It's a stellar lineup. I mean, like, it's a lineup that you can't see anywhere else. So we're excited.
And I believe that there's opportunities to network and speak with these guest presenters also, which is just unparalleled with any other kind of conference you go to. So that's amazing. So any Australians that have time and the ability to get across, I'd highly recommend. But I'm definitely going to do a follow-up from my experience at Paleo FX. So hopefully for years to come, more and more Aussies will make the trip across there, and hopefully more and more conversations will start in Australia around these highly important topics as well.
Well, there's also talk, I've heard through the grapevine, that we've talked about coming to Australia. So it's
fabulous.
Something we want to do in the next couple of years, is be able to come to Australia. We're trying to really dial in what we do so that we can take it on the road. It's quite the beast to put this on here in our backyard, and but taking it across the pond is going to be quite a feat. So we want to make sure that when we do it, it's right, and it's at the caliber and level that we want to be able to present. But yeah, I know that Australia is one of the places we'll be coming.
Paleo FX Down Under.
Yes.
Sounds pretty cool.
Awesome to me.
Well, Michelle Norris, thank you so much. I look forward to getting across there and meeting you in person next month in Texas. And if people would like to find out more about Paleo FX, is it just to the website, paleofx.com?
Yes, paleofx.com. Our Facebook page is Paleo FX, and you can follow us on all social media at Paleo FX, and it's we have all kinds of stuff going on. This is Paleo Awareness Month. For those of you that might, March is Paleo Awareness Month. It's something that we claimed a couple of years ago. And so we have a huge giveaway coming up. And so we'll make sure that you get all the links and everything, Chris, so that you can get that out to your followers, and you could actually win tickets to Paleo FX.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Well, like I said, absolute pleasure. Look forward to seeing you and meeting you next month. And thank you so much. I know you've had a busy day.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm honored to have been on. Thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. Bye.